Welcome to Lacrosse Classified, your go-to source for all things NLL and box lacrosse. We will bring you the biggest names and best storylines in the world every single week. So settle down and listen up. It's time for Lax Class.
Happy Canada Day, lacrosse fans. Welcome back to Lax Class. Well, we're recording on Canada Day, but this podcast will come out. Same premise applies here. Happy Canada Day, everybody. Welcome back to Lax Class. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully everybody enjoyed a little time off and some good times over the weekend. If you're one of those people that were smart and booked the Monday off before the holiday, all the more power to you. Scheduled this podcast not really realizing it was going to happen on Canada Day, but thankfully my co-host, I don't know what, I saw you had Lake Day. Lake Day, what lake were you on? What was going on? Was it a family thing? It looked pretty nice out there. How's it going?
Good, man. Yeah, thanks, Jake. No, up at the cottage, little weekend getaway, and lake's called Lake Eugenia, small lake, man-made, so not definitely not an ocean, definitely nothing special about it, to be honest. But
could you swim across it?
you could. It would take you a while, but you definitely could.
What do you got? Like you got like the old 22-foot bayliner with the Merc 150 on the back out there at the estate?
Nope, not anymore. For years, my uncle has had a couple boats, but he just recently got rid of his. Now has his own fishing kayak. So he was enjoying that, but no, just for myself. No, just enjoying the cottage, enjoying the water. Weather was great, so spent all of Sunday on that, and then Sunday night I took a bit of a trip to the Bunny Barn out in Orangeville.
What a treat that must have been.
Yeah, that was definitely a good way to cap off the long weekend. Not gonna lie, as a biased Whitby fan, would have been better if the Warriors defeated the Northmen, but that was not the case.
Oh, so you just went to watch the game. You weren't reffing or anything. You were just taking in the ambiance there at Tony Rose, number 6.
I was, absolutely.
Good stuff. Yeah, well, Orangeville gets past Whitby. Lots of scores and stories to get to here this week on the show. We're in a bit of a heat wave here on the West Coast, man. AC is in full flex here. It's giving her. Did a little walk up the hill yesterday in the dead of heat, Lucas. That wasn't the smartest idea I've ever had, but got through that. I think I'm going to have to put disc golf on the shelf for a little bit. The lower back is just not responding well, and that's the only time that it really hurts is when I go play disc golf. So now whenever I get that itch, it's to the hill. We're just going to start walking hills instead of throwing discs around. That's going to be the new regimen, I think.
Never a bad thing.
No,
you got some little bit more elevation than you probably get out there on the disc golf course. Yeah. But hey, well, we had it works.
Yeah, we got the big BC Open coming up here this weekend. I'm going to be doing some social media stuff for that, so I'll still get my fix that way, I suppose. But lots of pros coming to town here for the big weekend. But that's disc golf. This is lacrosse, and let's tell the classmates here what's coming up on episode 345. We'll have Jalen Chaster in period number 2, as this is a good get here, especially on a Canada Day. Adanac is Canada spelt backwards. I don't know if you knew that or not, Lucas. Now you do. It took me a long being an Adanac myself. I learned that much later in life. Like, I didn't even know that until I was like in my teens, I think. Jalen Chaster has been a busy man this summer. He not only plays for the Coquitlam Sr Adanacs, who are having themselves a season, but he also coaches. First year coaching with the Coquitlam Jr Adanacs, and of course the Colorado Mammoth as well. And looking forward to this with Jalen Chaster. I don't know if he's ever done a podcast before, but I'm looking forward to talking with Jalen coming up in period number 2. Lax Class Lock of the Week in period 3. Man, what a barn burner it was at Queen's Park last Thursday. Adanacs and Bellies coming up a little bit short in the parlay. Man, we'll talk about that in period 3. The streak is over. We'll try and start a new one this week. And what the hell? We're going right back to Bellies and Adanacs this week, but this time in Coquitlam. We shall discuss. Period number 1 is the biggest period of the program, as we have our Goalie Factory Goalie of the Week. We have our Rycor Standout Players of the Week. We got our Lax Class Report Cards as well, and then we'll take you around all the summer loops here. So with that being said, where do we begin? I think we begin like we did last week with the Rocky Mountain Lacrosse League. Got a note from my boy Charlie Graham, who is being called up to the junior minors lacrosse team, junior A minors lacrosse team, for a little road trip to take on the Raiders Lacrosse Club. And I said, well, make sure you keep me posted on how it goes. Didn't play in the first game, but the minors handed the Raiders their first loss of the season, 10-9, I believe, the final in this one. And then Charlie did get into the second game, got some minutes in there. I think he said he made like 14 out of 18 stops. As a call-up, they lost the game, but did get some action. But the Raiders kind of put it to the minors the very following day. They are now 12-1, and nobody's catching them in the regular season. And I still think the team to beat there in Alberta. But good to hear from my buddy Charlie. The minors went over the Raiders, but the Raiders are still the best in the league. That's my summary of Rocky Mountain Lacrosse. I thought it was going to be the Mountaineers, but it ended up being the Miners. I mean, the Miners are only 4-7 here. The Mountaineers have a winning record, so you thought, well, you would think if anyone was going to do it, it would have been the Mounties. But no, it was Johnny Lynch and the Miners.
I mean, hey, good for the Miners. Calgary, they probably needed to lose a game before they made it to the Minto Cup should they make it out of Alberta. So, losing one or if they lose a couple more down the stretch, it's always good for a locker room vibe, just so that you don't have the feeling going into it, okay, yeah, we went undefeated in our home province, we should just run the floor with these guys. No, having a couple losses under your belt always helps the team improve and also points out their weaknesses on what to fix down the road.
Well, I think you make an excellent point right there, and I think it's also an excellent segue into the Western Lacrosse Association. Speaking of the WLA, summer roundups here brought to you by the Western Lacrosse Association. WLAlacrosse.com is where you're going to find all the information that you're looking for, as far as the stats, the news, the scores, the webcasts, all of it. Speaking of the WLA, I want to make sure I get this straight here, because this one, the trade deadline is coming up in about a week from now, but the WLA announcing a couple of deals just moments ago, in fact. And the first one, I was like, oh, okay, well, that's a pretty nice little pickup. Future considerations going to the Nanaimo Timbermen in exchange for the playing rights of Will Johansson in 2025. So I thought, okay, pretty good little deal right there for New West to pick up Will Johansson. But then just seconds later, this one comes across: Victoria acquiring the rights to Will Johansson for the 2025 season. New West's first round pick in the 2028 WLA draft. This one comes from New Westminster, who just acquired Will Johansson. Cancellation of future considerations in the Adrian Soroketti deal back in 2023. This kind of caught me off guard here. I almost feel like Chris Welsh and the Shamrocks here, and if this is the way they're playing poker or playing pool, good on them. Just we're sitting on this and then force New West's hand, saying, hey, remember that Soroketti deal back in 2023? Time to pay up. So the Bellies had, and they, I don't know if Vic said, like, this is what we want. We want Will Johansson for the year, so you do this, so we get this, and this happens. If this is the way this went down, very crafty here from the Shamrocks, just to kind of go, okay, future considerations time. We want Will Johansson, so you go acquire him and then flip him to us, and then we're even.
Talk about wheeling and dealing. Great deal from Victoria to make that deal with New West. On the flip side of things, if you are New West, probably a very tough pill to swallow. Made a deal a couple of years ago. Now you have to pay up, sort of thing. And considering that you just lost to the Victoria Shamrocks a couple of days ago, it's probably leaving a bit of a bitter aftertaste. And when I say a bit of a bitter aftertaste, I probably mean a big bitter aftertaste.
Well, that was the segue I was talking about. As New West, previously undefeated, Didn't lose once this week. They lost twice, as we'll get to that. Shamrock started the week off well in Langley. Thunder actually gave the Rocks a pretty good go here. I didn't think this game was going to be as close as it was, and I don't think the scoreline really indicative of it either. A couple of empty netters to kind of finish this one off, but the Thunder are right there with the Shamrocks for about 55, 56 minutes in that game. They pulled their goaltender down 1 goal with 3.5 minutes to go in the game, which I mentioned on the broadcast. Like, I'm all for being aggressive, but 3.5 minutes to go in the game, down 1, and they threw the ball away, ends up in the back of their net, and that essentially sealed it for the Shamrocks. So tough one to swallow there for Langley. Mind you, this is going to be a fun Wednesday night coming up from the Langley Event Center. They're going to announce 20 years of Langley Thunder lacrosse in the township of Langley. They're going to announce it all Thunder team. They're going to hang the jersey of part owner of the Langley Thunder and Thunder great himself in Rob Buchan. His number 8 will be going up. So it's going to be a fun night on Wednesday coming up. But let's go back to Thursday as the Adanacs and Bellies played for the first time in the season, and Coquitlam walks into Queen's Park Arena. And I'm telling you right now, the atmosphere inside QPA on Thursday night felt like a playoff game. There was about 2,000 people in there, and some real high-end lacrosse. Del Bianco stopped in almost 50 shots in this game. I named him first star. Coquitlam got out to a 5-1 lead. Before the Bellies kind of ran. I think Pace had a natural hat trick in this game, and they clawed right back. They actually took a 7-5 lead, only to give it up with 3 straight goals from Coquitlam, who get out of there with a big win. Now they got the edge in the season series, and the Bellies take their first loss here, Lucas, and then they would have to go to Victoria just a night later, and then they lose another heartbreaker. I was doing a game while I was watching this game, but I saw Tyler Pace score at the end of it, and it got called off in the crease. Even local product there, and Theodore Jenner said, like, man, I don't know if I'm making that crease call sort of thing. And he's a Victoria guy. And then O'Riglieri stares down Noah Armitage in the last 5 seconds on a partial breakaway to preserve a 6-5 victory. So the Bellies go from 8-0 to 8-2. The Adanacs get a win. The Shamrocks win twice. The Lakers beat the Timbermen, by the way. If overtime, Silas Richmond got the winner. But look at the standings now. Bellies and Shamrocks both with 10 games, but Victoria jumps from 3rd to 1st. The Adanacs held first for 24 hours. They drop down to 2nd, and the Bellies go from 1st to 3rd. It's going to be an absolute dogfight down the stretch here between these 3 clubs, looking for that number 1 seed and home floor throughout the playoffs as well. It's going to be fun to watch.
When you have multiple rosters that are stacked with NLL caliber players that play with one another, play against each other in the winter, to then see them play together in summer ball, A, it's fun to watch. It absolutely is. And B, you never know what the standings are going to come out to. You have 3 teams at 8 wins. They all know each other. They're all buddies with one another, but someone has to be the number 1 seed. It's fun.
Yeah, it's super fun. And then you look at that 4 spot, which you would think is the one that is remaining. Langley and Maple Ridge play this week. They're 4th and 5th. The Lakers get that overtime win. I hate to say it, but 10 games played, they're 4 points out of a playoff spot right now. 2 wins, and they're right back in the mix. Now, other teams are going to win and lose, and it's a big hill to climb, but they're not out of it. They're not out of it here for that 4 spot. Wednesday's massive. But let's move along to BC Junior A lacrosse here. First, no, we can mention that later. Trade deadline has come and gone in the BC Junior A Lacrosse League. Just in fact today, some news coming out. Coquitlam. Well, first, tell me about this Burlington. Did you see this? They went out and got a kid from Burlington. Did the Junior Adanacs. Let me just double check. Brendan Campbell out of Burlington, who I think spent a couple of years with the London Junior B Knights program and put up I think he's their all-time leading scorer, ridiculous numbers. But they weren't done yet. We saw Lucas Nielsen get shipped from New West, so you got an idea that they were going to be sellers as they moved him to St. Catharines. Coquitlam got in the mix. You don't see these 2 teams. Usually they're fighting for playoff spots and what have you. You don't see them make deals very often. but Francis, Aiden McDonald. But I think the big prize here for the Junior A's is Ren Glanville. And we were talking about how Coquitlam, without David Cherney over on that right side anymore, there was just a gap kind of missing. And this Ren Glanville fills that gap in a big way. But the big news, still have not heard. And if I haven't heard by now, I don't think it's happening. Cody Milosky will remain with the Junior Thunder for the rest of the season. So that dream, I think, is over, but they're pretty stacked on that left side as it is in Coquitlam. So sure, I mean, you take Cody if you can get him, but if you couldn't get him, I think they're going to be okay over there. Anyways, 11-2, Shamrocks at 10-4, and I haven't heard them making any moves. I think their window is going to come a year or two from now, and they probably, it's hard to flip players when you're sitting in second place and build for the future, but they didn't make the mistake of wasting any money or trading off any picks. Like, if you don't think you can do it, and Delta, I think, was an example of that. They're in a playoff spot, but they're like, is this the year that we think we can win? They ship some players off to Nanaimo and Masnick and Anderson, I believe. Levi Tui leaves Port Coquitlam. He goes to Orangeville. I really like that pickup for the Hornets. So quite a bit of movement around the BC Junior Lacrosse League as far as bodies and players and transfers and all the rest of it.
In order to win the Minto Cup or for any junior sporting championship, it has to come from your 21-year-old. So if you're Victoria, like you just said, Jake, probably this isn't their year for them. They want to build for next year or even 2027. But if you're the Nanaimo, Delta, or Langley this year, or even New West, sitting at 7 wins and 6 respectively for those 4 teams, you want to see how much of a playoff push you can make this year with your second to last, third to last year junior guys, and then next year and the year after that, when they are seniors, just go as hard as you can. So for these guys, they did what they needed to do, and future is definitely on the mind for all of those teams.
We'll move to the OJ here, Lucas, and it's kind of going back and forth with a buddy there in Orangeville and Josh Sanderson. I didn't realize it was 8 teams that made the playoffs. I made my bet. I don't think Mimico's getting in, man. He goes, oh, they're getting in. I said, well, we should probably put something on that. And he suckered me into that one. I thought it was 6 teams. I'm looking at the standings going, they're not getting in. Like, this is easy money. 8 teams get in. They're going to get in, I think, is the bottom line there. I'm just kind of looking down the schedule here a little bit, and not a ton of great matchups early on this week, but on the horizon, July the 4th, 6 Nations into Orangeville for a rematch of a game that was one of the lowest scoring games in the last decade, if I'm not mistaken. 5-2 Orangeville winning that game on the road. So they got the rematch there, and then you scroll down one more. You got Beaches at Whitby on the 5th. That is going to be a beauty. And the regular season just about done. St. Catharines, 6 Nations still to play. St. Catharines and the Beaches. Like, these are going to be meaningful games at Whitby and Orangeville a little later on. So some good matchups still to be had here in Ontario Junior Lacrosse. And although the standings looking pretty clear cut right now, sometimes I see these scores and I check, this and that. Teams win games that they have no business winning. Teams lose games that they should never, ever lose. So you just never know where it's all going to shake out at the final whistle here of the regular season.
No, definitely. And with Jake knowing here, classmates, that 8 teams make the playoffs, not 6. Top 4 get home.
Just give everybody a participation ribbon while you're at it back there. 8 teams.
Yeah. So some would say that's too much. Some would say that's more than enough. I don't know yet.
I don't know why I didn't remember that, but I knew that, and I just I blew it. I mean, they got 11 teams. I kind of like that. You're giving everybody a little taste of it. 1 and 2. Do 1 and 2 get the bye in the first round, or do they got to play 1 versus 8 right off the bat?
1, 8, 2, 7, 3, 6, and 4, 5. So if you're one of those top 4 teams, like if you're Nations, Beaches, Whitby, or St. Catharines right now, 2 wins are only separating those 4 teams. And if the regular season ended today, one of them isn't getting home floor advantage. So that's how tough it is to make it in the top 4 in the OJLL, because they are so tight, and the caliber, I wouldn't say it's better than BC and Alberta, but it's definitely more compact.
Yeah, I mean, it's harder to get through Ontario than it is BC.
It is.
No question about that. I mean, that 4-5 matchup, Whitby St. Catharines in the opening round, that's going to be a doozy if that's the way that thing shakes out.
Yeah, it would be. I mean, at the end of the day, you're gonna have one of those two gauntlets not making it to round two, but it would be even shittier if you're St. Catharines, the Minto Cup host out in round one. That
Yeah,
would probably not be the best of looks optics wise. But going back to what you said on last week's episode,
yeah.
Jake, if
That's
they
too
get out
long,
round
though. I
one,
think that's too long to be sitting around and
too
just
long. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's too long of a break. I mean, what does it take here if we're when do the playoffs start? Like mid-July, 3 weeks. If you get knocked out first round, was it best of 3 in the first round too? Like
It's best of five. So, and the
okay,
regular season wraps up Friday, July the 11th. All teams then get the weekend off. So the earliest that series would begin, again, if it's Whitby St. Catharines, would be Monday. What's that? The 14th. And then if they even went 5 games, and should St. Catharines lose, yeah, their Minto Cup tournament
3
wouldn't
weeks.
begin for almost a month.
Good 3. That's too long. You don't want to be waiting that week. 10 days, I think, is ideal.
Yeah, but like 2 weeks, that even might be pushing. But after that, it would be very tough to make sure that you're still in shape, you're in proper health to then go and compete for a national championship. But someone that is making a push to compete for a national championship are those Hornheads. And boy, did they put on a show when I saw them at the Bunny Barn Sunday night. Jeez.
Yeah, well, tell me about it.
I don't know what there is to tell you. It's the classic case of if you're the visiting team and you don't have a lead going into the third period, you can't beat Orangeville in transition. The way that Tony Rose is set up, floor set up, where the benches are, especially Orangeville's, it's impossible to beat them. Their bench is essentially 5 steps from the crease. Like you cannot beat them. The only way that happens, you take an offensive player, go 4-on-5, put an offensive player at center so that in the case that you lose the ball, you sprint your ass back on defense to not catch the lefty. In this case, in the third period, it would either be Trey Deer or Liam Matthews coming off the bench and absolutely just having a breakaway 1-on-1.
Kid yourself. That is totally by design. Listen to this. Like, we went back there for the Minto Cup, and first time ever walking into Tony Rose Arena. The visitors bench during those days, one of the gates was in the dead center of the bench. So one line had to stand on the wrong side of the door the way it swung open. So you had to jump the boards it was a mess. Like we had a hard time figuring that out.
Made it like hockey. You got to hop the boards on the line change.
Pretty much. Until we took their bench for game 3, they didn't like that very much, which is a rule in the Minto Cup. You can take the home bench if you want. Didn't matter. We got 4 bank. That's neither here nor there. But they also, the back of the lacrosse net kind of gets brought back in a triangle, and at the tip of the triangle is where the paint of the crease behind the goal goes. You know what I'm saying there?
Oh yeah.
Like imagine lacrosse net going back in a triangle, and at the very end of the triangle, that's where they would cut off 18 inches of the back of the net. So you could essentially stand on the back of the crease and reach around and dunk the ball without even leaving your feet.
Oh, geez. Literally talk about home floor advantage.
Greasy. Absolutely greasy back then. We're just like, what is going on here? Like, welcome to the East.
Talk about finding a loophole in the rules.
It's no wonder the BC never wins back in the East as far as the Minto Cup goes.
Well, does that change this year if Coquitlam or Victoria make it out?
I'll tell you, they're not going there to lose. That is for sure. All right, we still got tons to cover here in period number 1, Lucas, but you're caught up in the world of box lacrosse here in Canada. Next, I think we go, let's do report cards. It's Canada Day, but we're handing out report cards on Canada Day here on Lax Class Report Card Day.
Settle down, class. Today is report card day. Today is report card day. It's report card day.
I take out my report card. Throw some D's on that. I take out my report card.
I take out my report card. All right, Lucas, as always, report cards. You're going first. I kind of dropped this this in the chat. I saw this come across my Facebook. I didn't really understand it. Saw people, couple shares, couple comments that were very cryptic and vague. I don't know exactly what's transpired here. I know you've talked to a couple people. You might have a bit of a more of a pulse on this, but this news of the FNLA Junior B Six Nations Fire just folded up and said we're done for the season due to player safety. Can you tell us more and tell us what the letter grade is with all this going on?
I'm in the same boat as you, Jake. This came across my feed. I was kind of wondering the same thing. You kind of beat me to it in the punch, dropping it in the chat. But after speaking with some of my sources and some friends that I know that follow the league and a couple of them that play in it, what they told me was that the Six Nations Fire are forfeiting the rest of their season, obviously due to player safety, as they put out in their announcement. But more in-depth information came to light in terms of a game they had this past weekend, actually. I want to say it was Friday night or sometime Saturday afternoon. And after the first period, not only were they down by 10 or more goals after 20 minutes, their opponent, I don't know who they were playing, but their opponent was essentially targeting the Fire players, and that caused them to essentially walk off the floor at the end of it and say, we're forfeiting. We're not going to put our players in this situation where they're getting injured, sent to the hospital, etc.
So it's because they're too good?
I don't know.
Or are they the team that was getting beat by 10 or 12? Like, I don't understand. They were getting targeted because they were winning by too much? Is that what you're telling me?
No, the Fire were down 10-0. So the Fire got out to a bad start that game, and because of it, they started getting a little chippy, and then their opponent turned around and said, okay, if you're going to give us the off-ball slash or the low cross check, we're going to take off your head or break your legs. Okay. So Fire were getting beat up both physically and on the scoreboard.
They fought with Fire and got burnt, essentially.
Yeah, okay. They did. All right. As well, I don't know which coach it is, and I'm not going to name drop or speculate or anything, but I have been told that one of the coaches on the Fire bench is facing a minimum 2-year, potentially life suspension from the First Nations Lacrosse Association League due to the coach grabbing an official in the middle of a line brawl during a game. And the FNLA administration stepped in and said, yeah, you can't do that. This is what you're going to face. And the verdict has yet to come out, but I've been told that it's minimum 2 years, potentially life.
You don't grab referees. I don't even know. It sounds like they just kind of took their ball and went home. I get that you fear for your own player safety, but if that's the case, maybe don't light the fire then. And because you want to play that game, other teams are going to be willing to play it and maybe a little bit better from the sounds of it. So I'm all about player safety and guys not getting hurt out there, but sounds like they kind of started it and then couldn't finish it and then said, we're done.
Yeah, they essentially did. They decided to light the torch and it got snuffed and they weren't too happy about that. So all said and done, between them starting it and then them getting chippy and then their players losing many to injuries, broken bones, etc., what have you, and then a coach being involved. This week's letter grade on the Six Nations Fire is a D+.
D+, yeah, seems pretty fair, and I think mine will be a similar letter grade here. Now, the problem with me is I don't know quite who to hand this letter grade out. Like, it might be multiple report cards here this week, as you sent me this. Big Carvelis got his hands on this somehow as well. It's a video taken from the stands of the Poirier Sports and Leisure Complex there in Coquitlam, where the Senior B Tri-City Bandits play their home games. They were playing the New Westminster Sandbellies, who weren't the Sandbellies for the longest time. They were called the Royal City Capitals in the Senior B League. I think the Sandbellies just didn't want to give up the name to the Senior B team. That's all been straightened out, so I think they're the Senior B Sandbellies now. They're not a good team. They have not won a game this year. They got a guy by the name of Patrick Thornhill on their team. He used to go by the moniker of Patty Knucks, back in junior lacrosse. The guy's got a bit of a history about being a bit of a hothead. tough kid, no question about it. I think he's got a bit of a boxing background as well. And he was looking for some fun on whatever it was, Sunday night at the Palace there. I don't know exactly how it all began. From what I can gather, something was said from the Coquitlam bench that wasn't particularly like super egregious or offside or anything. And old Patty Nux just had enough and snapped. Apparently he's looking for one all night long and finally said, I'm going to come a little closer and look. All you see is the video of him standing on the bench of Coquitlam. Like, and I'm not talking in front of the bench. I'm talking on the bench where the coach would normally stand. Like, his back is to the glass and he's facing the floor up on the bench in Coquitlam's bench, takes his helmet off, throws it at a player, and then, kind of gets wrangled a little bit and then escorted off the bench and down the tunnel he goes. Apparently his wife and kids were in the crowd. Like, I don't know what's going on through Patty Thornhill's head to get to that point where you're going to jump on an opposing player's bench, throw your helmet at somebody, looking for a dance partner with your wife and kids in the crowd. Senior B on a Sunday night. Like, nobody is signing up to have to deal with that nonsense. On the flip side of things, I'll tell you this. If some guy on the opposing team jumps on my bench, anything goes. And I'm talking anything. And I was and I get it, he's a tough guy and a bit of a snap show, but for Christ's sake, there's 15 of you surrounding this guy, letting him just run train on your bench. Like, have a little pride in the jersey you're wearing there, fellas, and gang tackle this guy and make him regret that decision is where I'm going with that. So, like, it's nothing positive here. And of course, these are the videos that are making the rounds about, lacrosse, this, and people see this and listen, I get it. Like, it's crazy that you would see something like this in a senior B game. So, for Pat going way across the line in a senior B game, like, give your head a shake, kid, like, relax a little bit. Come on now. And for Tri-City, like, protect the house here, fellas. You're letting the guy just step onto your bench and have his way is embarrassing. Sammy and Dallas, I think, was like the only guy I saw that kind of tried to put a grip on the guy and said, like, get the fuck out of here, man. What are you doing? So maybe I'll go a little lower. I'll go F+ to both Thornhill and the response there from the Bandits. I hope I don't see anything like that again, but that was offside on multiple levels.
Talk about your pride and your team's pride and just the pride of the game. I don't think it's wrong for me to say that's pathetic, because ultimately it was. You just have no class at that point, and that's
on both parts. On both
exactly,
parts.
yeah, on both parts. That's just wrong. And for me, myself, somebody that is young, has a passion for the game, and I want to see it grow. When you see something like that, that is the opposite of growing the game. You're seeing a grown-ass man on an opposing team's bench looking at them and say, like, come and fucking fight me.
I get nobody wanted to fight the guy. Like, I understand that. But again, there's 15 of you surrounding this guy. Just tackle him. But nobody really did anything. Anyways, all right. Hopefully some more positive news next week here on Lax Class. So we got Jalen Chaster coming up, but he hasn't shown up quite yet. So let's keep period number 1 rolling here and head off to the Factory of Goalies for our Goalie Factory Goalie of the Week.
Big save, Giuliano. Rebound call, Crime Stoppers.
Vince just scored a goalie goal.
Jameson somehow comes up with the stop. Larceny.
And here's Shane Jackson off the bench. And there's Christian Del Bianco with a stick side save. The Goalie Factory Goalie of the Week is brought to you by, guess what? Guess who? The Goalie Factory at Goalie Factory _ led by head coach Riley Brown, his assistants Caleb and Marcus Kahn, their head trainer and Curtis Armstrong, their media manager and Daniela Carey, cranking out the good content. I know they had a little something going on today, in fact, there on Canada Day for all the goalies, sharpen up their games just prior to provincials and playoffs and all the rest of it. Perfect time to round your game into form. And you can do it all simply by going to @Goalie Factory _ hit their link tree and their sign up information, their contact information. It's all there, and get better at playing the position of goal with a variety and multitude of strategies and techniques and videos and all sorts of stuff there. They got it all covered when it comes to playing the position of goaltender at the Goalie Factory. You turned me on to this one, Lucas, and shout out to my boy Luelis and his Akwesasne Thunder, who swept away the Ironheads of West Durham. Sorry, Patty, who, I don't know what's going on, Lucas. He skipped off to Halifax for a wedding in the middle of a playoff series and looked like he had a real good time. I saw a picture of old Patty Gregoire there. He did not look like he was in a very good state of mind when that thing was snapped. A little disheveled. His team was pretty disheveled as well, as they had a hard time scoring goals in that series, Lucas. And our goalie of the week from the Akwesasne Thunder was a big reason for that.
Absolutely, he was. I think it's safe to say that when I watched him play in Game 3 in Pickering,
we should probably mention his name.
We should
probably mention his name before we start talking about him.
Where are my manners? Congratulations to Xavier Delormeyer. Hope I'm saying your name right, Xavier.
Delormier.
Delormier. There we go. Delormier. He was lights out for the Thunder. He stopped every single outside shot that the Ironheads were putting in on him, or that were shooting on him. Obviously, the game went to double overtime. Not one overtime, but two. But the majority of the Ironheads' goals were from the inside. But nonetheless, when you're able to sweep a team and your goaltender is a big reason because of that, you deserve to get recognized. He was very good. Pat even told us himself, Jake, that he hopes to see this guy on an A team next year because he is that good. He's young, he's talented, and more importantly, as a goalie, he's big. He takes up a lot of the net. He's a big guy.
That's what we saw with Sugga Thompson just a year ago, right? Took a run to the Founders, and next thing you know, he's playing Junior A for Six Nations this year. We saw that with the kid out of Onondaga as well that was backing up in Orangeville last year at the Minto Cup, Lyndon Hill. Who, spent some time in that league and then got recognized. And, I had a chance to watch portions of that series. Thankfully, he doesn't, he looks a little awkward in the goal somehow, but man, he gets the job done, stops all the balls that he should and probably a couple that he shouldn't. Doesn't really look like your prototypical goalie, but makes the saves, and he's making his way to the Goalie Factory this week as well.
Yes, sir, he is. Way to go, Delormier.
There you go. Welcome to the factory. We're not done on period number one. One more segment to come. It's your favorite. It's my favorite. It's the Rycor Standout Players of the Week.
I'm a hard-working man.
It's a good little Canada Day song right there. Rycor Standout Players of the Week, brought to you by Rycor Construction. They make it stand out at Rycor. We know this. And if you didn't, now you do. At Rycor Construction, Inc. at www.rycorconstruction.ca. See for yourself on their Instagram or go to their website, their contact information, email, phone number, the pictures, all their information and background is there. But just know this, they serve the Lower Mainland. They specialize in all residential interior and exterior renovations. Bottom line, they do it all, and they make it stand out when they do it. Quality craftsmanship, exceptional client experience, all comes along with the Rycor guarantee. Make it stand out at Rycor. Lucas, who stood out for you this past week?
I'm going back to the Major Series Lacrosse League. The Six Nations Chiefs had a big game this past weekend. They were in Brooklyn, ended in a 1-goal affair in overtime. Even though Ryan Smith got the overtime winner, he wouldn't have gotten that opportunity to score it if it hadn't been for Ian McKay.
Oh, the loose ball.
Big time loose ball when he needed it most. And for the Chiefs, they needed it to stay atop of the standings in the Major Series Lacrosse League and atop the Senior A rankings in all of Canada. And once again, it just goes to show that work ethic is something that you can't teach a player. And Ian McKay has shown time and time again, NLL Finals MVP this past year, loose balls matter.
Speaking of Ryan Smith, member of the Rochester Nighthawks, and once again this past week, just kind of touching base with a number of different people. Again, I got the message back, like yesterday was the deadline for the Pagula family to cease operations. Haven't heard anything today, probably won't as well, but this past week, again, heard active discussions taking place with multiple owners, potential multiple owners at the table, which is super encouraging and positive to hear. No question about that. But again, I go back to why is that happening days before this deadline that's been imposed? And when they've had months and months and months to make this happen, why it hasn't. Now, all of a sudden, active discussions and multiple potential buyers at the table. Again, the people I'm hearing these things from are trustworthy people. But until I see it or hear it for sure, I'm going to stay skeptical on this. I'm just gonna. Which leads me to Ryan Smith. And if, in fact, there is a dispersal draft again here in the National Lacrosse League, and you have the number 1 overall pick, who are you taking off the Nighthawks? I get, for Las Vegas, it's a bit of a different situation when you got Donville and Hannah already on that right side, but I don't think I care, man. I think I'm taking Ryan Smith. I'm sorry, Connor Fields. I just think Ryan Smith, I can't pass that up, man. I can't.
I don't think there's an argument to be made. Yes, Connor Fields is good.
Yes, there is. He's the reigning
Ryan Lanchbury
MVP. But we also remember, and this, again, all pure speculation, remember, Connor Fields was a desert dog for a brief amount of time before being shipped to Rochester. Do you go down that road again? You want to go through that again?
I wouldn't. You drafted the player, didn't work out.
No, they got him from. Well, yeah, they took him in the expansion draft. So I guess.
Sorry. Yeah, so they took him in the expansion draft. Didn't work out. Found a home. We don't know if it's temporary or permanent or not in Rochester if the franchise stays around. But do you give him round 2 as a desert dog? I don't know. Questions. Yeah.
We'll see what happens. I mean, ultimately and ideally, somebody steps up to the table, purchases the Rochester Nighthawks. That gets announced tomorrow, and away we go. Business as usual. But that's the other thing in this whole situation is the NLL entry draft is a couple of months away. Seasons tickets and promotion and marketing and all these things need to happen in order for a franchise to run smoothly. And if yesterday was the cutoff, that's when people stop getting paid. I don't think you're showing up to the Nighthawk office on the following day and working for free unless somebody has said, we'll cover the paychecks for a couple of weeks while we get this figured out and hopefully get this signed and sealed and away we go. Hopefully all that happens. Hopefully it does. But even the bigger issue at hand, free agency, August 1st is supposed to kick off. Well, nobody's putting a pen to paper without an NLL collective bargaining agreement. And I'm sure both sides and the board and the PA and all the rest of it have been working, on a daily, weekly, monthly basis here to hopefully some sort of resolution. But I have no idea where those negotiations are at right now. And you can't sign a contract to a free agent without a collective bargaining agreement. And you can't have a season with one without one of those either. So essentially, this Rochester stuff, not a lot of it matters until there's a CBA and we know we're going to have a season.
As soon as the first domino falls, hopefully the rest of them will. But it's that first one at the beginning of the line, Jake, that has to fall. And if it doesn't, then, things 2, 3, 4, 5, 1,200 down the line are not gonna occur, and it's gonna be wrong, frustrating, and ultimately it could result in another dispersal draft.
Yeah, or maybe, delayed to the start of the next season. I don't know. Like, are these guys going to play hardball, and who's going to blink first and play some chicken, and a lot going on. Maybe it's almost time for a Dowick check-in, I feel like. I know we got a lot going on here in the summertime, but might be time to get JD on the show and see if we can get some insight to what is going on.
Well, hopefully he has some things off his plate now, as news came out last week that the Toronto Rock are returning to Hamilton. The renovations will be done. I don't know if you saw that, but it is confirmed. Formerly Cobbs Coliseum, then went First Ontario Center, is now TD Coliseum.
Okay.
So that has been announced by the city of Hamilton. Renovations will be done. I think I saw end of October, early November.
Perfect.
Rock are hoping to play at least one preseason game down there in Hamilton before the season is expected to get underway in December. I know it's confirmed. The Rock are back in Hamilton. So bye-bye to the Paramount Fine Food Center. Jeez, was that
fun,
something this past year?
Fun while it lasted there, Paramount Fine Food Center.
Anyways, let's get back to our standout players.
Yeah.
Ian McKay, way to go. You had a game for yourself down there in Brooklyn. Whitby, actually, against Brooklyn. An overtime win in Brooklyn.
Yeah, I tell you,
close.
You look at those, similar to here in the WLA with Victoria, New West, and Coquitlam, Six Nations, Peterborough, and BLC. This gap is much closer than I thought it was going to be. Clearly, Brooklyn is a very good team. And they kind of have this I don't give a shit attitude where they almost they don't really know they're not supposed to win these games or be in these games with Peterborough and Six Nations. And you look at that roster. I mean, Higgy is going to give you a chance to win any given night. And they got a lot of young, up-and-coming, good lacrosse players there that are still hungry, right, in the summertime. We'll see when playoffs roll around here. But, Peterborough has beat Six Nations. Six Nations beat Peterborough. Brooklyn beat Peterborough. I'm not putting anything past Brooklyn Lacrosse Club or the Lakers to give the Chiefs a run here down the stretch.
No, definitely not. It's going to be close when the playoffs come about. Peterborough has bested Brooklyn in the past couple of years when they faced each other. I don't think Brooklyn and Nations have seen one another in the playoffs since the return of the league out of COVID. So if those two teams meet each other in round one or in the finals, who knows? But no, it'll be interesting to see if Brooklyn or Peterborough could actually knock off the now defending Mann Cup champions.
My standout player of the week, I will stick here on the West Coast. And like I mentioned, the Victoria Shamrocks going 2-0 this past week. And a more impressive game one than game two for this man. But nonetheless, the second game was a very low-scoring game. And he had 2 points on the 5 Shamrock goals in that contest. He had 7 points in 13 goals for the Shamrocks on Wednesday night. En route to that 13-10 victory over the Thunder, the slot doctor, Patrick Dodds. Marshall King giving them that handle. I said, I had to message Marshall. I said, I'm using that. Slot doctor. Come on now. And sure as shit, I did. First goal, first shot of the game, slot doctor right in the slot. Started things off for the Shamrocks. And they rolled from there. 5-2 for Pat Dodds in that game. 1-1 against the Bellies in that 5-4 victory. 9 points in 2 games for Patty Dodds. Remember, did not play in the National Lacrosse League last year after a really good rookie campaign for Panther City. Had a bit of a drop off the following year when the Rush picked him up. Then he went on firefighting probation. Didn't play at all. But I think Patrick Dodds has kind of found his game once again, highly touted coming out of junior. This guy, he's got it going right now for Victoria, and I'm interested to see whether he makes his way back to Saskatchewan or whether that ends up somewhere else. But this week, he's ending up on the construction site along with Ian McKay.
I don't know what's better, the fact that you picked him as your Rycor Standout Player of the Week or the slot doctor. You are right. Talk about a handle.
Marshall King coming up with that one. I said, I'm using it. So forever now, from this point forward, Patrick Dodds will be known as the slot doctor. He is this week's Rycor Standout Player of the Week, along with Ian McKay of the Six Nations Chiefs, which brings us to a close in period number 1. Now, I'm going to be honest with the classmates here, Lucas. We're supposed to roll into period 2 right now. We're actually kind of 20 minutes past our window. Jalen Chaster has not shown up yet. Just sent out a little text to Jalen. Oh, and just as I did, Jalen shows up. Jalen Chaster of the Adanacs, both junior and senior, joins us next. Stay classified.
This is Logan Schuss, and you're listening to Lax Class.
Welcome back to Lax Class. We're in to the second period, and just in the nick of time, he showed up in the green room, Lucas. We got him on the show, Jalen Chaster, coming right up. But first, I got to tell you about Edge Dynamics. Period 2 brought to you by Edge Dynamics. EdgeDynamics.ca, where they sharpen your brand on a global level. At Edge Dynamics Digital is their social media. They understand every brand has its own distinct story and potential, and their mission is to help you unlock that potential by crafting marketing strategies that resonate with your target audience. Sounds pretty smart. I would do that. Edge Dynamics, EdgeDynamics.ca, Edge Dynamics Digital. Let them take your brand to the next level on a global level at Edge Dynamics. Just in the nick of time. Like I mentioned, Jalen Chaster, he's on the road. He's on his way home, but he's hanging with us here on Lax Class on Canada Day. Jalen, I'm glad we had a chance to do this first time on Lax Class. That's right? You've never been on the show before.
Yeah, first time here. Thanks for having me.
Well, I know we'll have at least one listener in your mom who happens to be your biggest fan, and I know she'll be tuned in here this week. So I'm looking forward to that. But you've had a busy summer, man. You're playing for the senior Adanacs. You're coaching with the junior Adanacs. So we want to talk about all that. I figured the perfect opportunity to kind of double dip with a guy that's doing both things in coaching and playing. So let's start with the senior team here, man. It's been quite the season so far for you guys. You know, for a team that missed the playoffs by a single point a year ago, I believe, to now be hovering around the top of the standings. You handed the Salmon Bellies their first loss of the season. You tell me, but this looks like a team that is really tight, Jalen, and all on the same page. Like the coaching staff has you guys dialed. Is this the best team that you've been on since your time joining the senior Adanacs?
For sure. I think, these last, I think I've been with the team 4 years now, and, we haven't had the best results, but I think what they've done these past few years is really focus on building the culture back, and I'm grateful enough to have grown up around it and had the pleasure of being an Adanac my whole life. But I think it's really great for guys to come in and really see what it means and the culture in the room that they've built, and it just keeps growing and growing. And the past couple of years, like you mentioned, we just squeaked by not making playoffs, and I think this year it's kind of all coming together, and the years going forward, I think it's just going to get better and better.
Well, I mean, I think part of the reason has been the building of that culture. They brought a lot of Coquitlam guys back home that, it means something to them to pull on the A over their head as well. Getting 35 there in between the pipes hasn't hurt, I don't think either, Jalen. But I think that the biggest move has got to be the shift of you going out the back gate up to the front gate. Now you're on the power play, you're scoring goals. This has been a bit of a change for you. I know, correct me if I'm wrong here, but you grew up being an offensive player for most of your life. It wasn't until old Patty Coyle got his hands on you there that, those junior teams that kind of dictated that you were maybe better served to play out of the back there in junior, but you've always been an offensive guy at heart, have you not?
Yeah, I grew up playing a lot more O than I would D, I would say, definitely not being a bigger guy growing up, definitely, I think, persuaded in that direction, just size-wise. But I played, I guess, intermediate when that was still a thing. I played offense for intermediate, and then, like you mentioned, once I got to junior, got the move to the back gate, and can't complain. I think it served me well, and I enjoy both sides of the floor, but yeah, definitely going out the front gate is it's a little bit of an adjustment just because I haven't done it a little bit, but I definitely have no complaints and I love to do it. It's always nice scoring goals.
Well, Jalen, what do you prefer, scoring goals or knocking someone on their ass?
Oh man, someone was asking me this the other day, and I just can't. I can't give a solid answer. I really do enjoy. I do enjoy both sides of the same or both sides of the floor for different reasons, if that makes sense. It's go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, Jalen, like, have you had some conversations with the guy in charge there in Colorado that, hey, coach, like, look what's happening here in the summer. Is there a spot available maybe down there in Denver up front?
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, I did get a couple games up there on offense when we were battling with some injuries this year. So, going into training camp this year, you never know. We'll see. I've always been a team first guy and I just want to win. So wherever they think I'm best served is where I'll play.
Jake said off the top that you're not only playing for the Senior Adanacs, but you're coaching with the junior team. What kind of coach are you when you have the playing background to then being on the bench, but you're doing it simultaneously?
I think it kind of helps on both ends of playing and coaching because obviously coaching offense has helped me understand the move up to offense playing myself, and then obviously playing can help me like see the things on the floor that I wouldn't necessarily see just standing on the bench talking to the guys, right? So I think I'm not like a super hard strung guy. I'm pretty easygoing for the most part. And I think my approach to coaching is just talking to the players like I would talk to my teammates on the bench in between shifts. Just communicate straight to the point and just try to get through what we're trying to accomplish on, the shifts up to come.
Are you telling me Tice is strung a little tighter than you when you're on the bench, Jalen? Does he run a little hotter under the collar?
I don't know if he runs hot per se, but he definitely get his blood pressure a little higher, I'm sure.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I think for the fact that you played junior for Pat, you win a Minto. Did you get two or just one? Were you on the 16?
No, just the one, the
Okay.
2018.
And then, Pat drafts you. I think he picks you up late second round and a bit of a sleeper pick that's turned out really well. And, you're playing for him at the pro level. But the fact for him, to know you as a junior player, know you as a pro player, say, I think you can make a good coach. Come and coach with me. I think that's going to mean a lot to both you and Ethan that, to have that relationship with him to, like, I think Pat needs some calm and some serenity around him from time to time on his bench. And I think that's why you and Tice have fit so well with him. But that's got to be pretty cool for a guy that you've played under for so long to ask you now come up and stand beside him.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a huge compliment. And, I was happy to hop on board right away and, get to work. But it's definitely a blessing to be able to, to coach at that level and, for him to ask me to do it, especially take the step and coach offense. The fact that I've been doing defense for as long as I have now is definitely a big step, but it's, so far it's been working out well and we got some more work to do. So hopefully we can get the results we want.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about that junior team as we're here with Jalen Chaster. But before we get to that, while we're on coaching here, I want to talk about your head coach for the senior team. And funnily enough, Jalen, like, there's a guy that I used to coach way back when, and him and Jordan Weir and a couple other those guys. So it's really neat for me to see them now coaching the senior team. And I've mentioned it a number of times on the broadcast about how well Steve-O manages the game. Like, he seems to be prepared for every scenario that could come about. I think he utilizes his timeouts very well. He runs the old 6-on-5 sneak from time to time, has last second plays pretty dialed in. Like, I think that coaching staff in particular has done a wonderful job, and that has really helped you guys to the record that you have at this point.
Yeah, so I think, Jordan and Steve have been great coaches, and they're always super prepared with the amount of work they put in. It's a lot more than what it seems, and they're always constantly watching film outside of work and outside of practices, and it's basically like a second full-time job for those guys. So I think the results that we're getting really are showing the amount of work they're putting in. And, the great thing about those guys is they're super open-minded about not only their ideas, but taking input from all of us players as well. And it's kind of, a committee thing. If we think something needs to change, they're super open-minded. It's not their way or the highway. So I think that's a really good approach to what they've been doing.
Well, let me ask you this, Jalen, because I know Ethan runs into the same conflicts being a member of the Burnaby Lakers. He is kind of, you can tell, like when the juniors are playing, he's coaching, and if he doesn't have to do that, then he gets into a couple of games. I don't know what your situation or agreement is, but if Coquitlam, the senior team, goes on a deep run and there's a conflict with a junior A game, where does the priority lie for you?
I've been trying to prioritize my games just in the regular season so far. It's kind of coming down to crunch time, and I haven't necessarily really.
Bro, you better have that conversation, pal. You better have that conversation sooner than later.
I know it's really hard to discuss without knowing the schedules. So I'm hoping it all just works out. It all lines up, and I don't have to do too much of that. But yeah, tough conversations will have to be had when the time comes. I think the weight of certain games will definitely play into account, and it's definitely nice that
WLA finals, playing, or Minto Cup coaching. Pick right now.
No, I'm not gonna do it. Can't do it. We gotta get there first for both.
All right,
you know what I mean? I'm not doing that.
Well, you don't have to make that choice, Jalen. But what you can answer is how Coquitlam was able to hand the Bellies their first loss of the season last week in the WLA. Talk about a barn burner, eh?
Oh, that felt like a playoff game, Jalen.
I agree. We really seemed to weather the storm early, and Delbs and the defense really just shut the door. And we collapsed a little late in the game to let them claw back, but it was kind of just one of those things where he stuck to the process and squeaked out the win. And I don't know
how about sinking the buzzer beater, man? There, like that's gonna rank up there with one of the biggest and best goals you've scored.
For sure. It definitely felt good to get that one. It was a little unexpected, it wasn't necessarily going shot wasn't necessarily the first option, but you got to take what they give you, and it all worked out.
Certified sniper Jalen Chaster here on the big program. And the junior trade deadline just came and passed, and everybody was kind of waiting to see whether Cody Milosky would get moved back to Coquitlam once again. It doesn't look like that's happened, but that didn't stop you guys from making your team better. You go out and get the kid out of Burlington and then pick up 3 junior Sandbillies as well. And, as an offensive coach here, Chester, you got to be licking your chops a little bit to get your hands on this Ren Glanville, who I really think is going to fill what was a need on that right side with a little bigger size and a guy that's willing to kind of get in there and do the dirty stuff to help make everything work.
Yeah, 100%. We've been running actually just three righties for a while, and getting those extra numbers just to help us go 4-4 and open up some space to do some different things is definitely going to help. I actually coming in this year, I was so far disconnected from the junior program that all the kids and stuff on our team and different teams is a learning process for me. And I don't know. I can't speak too much on the guys we got and their games, but just from hearing from people that I trust, I'm really excited to get them in the locker room and get to work.
Well, I think the last thing I would probably bring up with you here is the senior roster. We talked a lot about it already here, but some of the role players on that team that may not be Coquitlam born and bred, I think have really kind of fit into the mix as well. Like Keen Moon, I think has really kind of turned a corner with his season. Riley Isaac's playing a more prominent role. You got the another Alberta guy there, and Jack Royer, making an impact. How about this Jake Saunders, man? I don't know if enough people are talking about how good this guy has been on the back end.
I agree. All 4 of those players have been completely lights out and definitely a huge part of our success. But this is definitely the best I've seen Sonny play, and he's just such a big part of that back end, and he's just a dog. He works his ass off, and sticks. It always seems like it sticks in the right lane because he's picking off balls left and right. He's running down the floor. He's making big plays for us, and that's the kind of stuff we need. And he's definitely leading by example. So it's definitely nice to see that out of the back end, especially coming from him.
Well, big plays are going to have to occur once again this week as you see the bellies again. But before that game comes Saturday night, Jalen, I got to ask you, got any Canada Day plans after you're done hanging out with these two dummies on the podcast? Or what do you got the rest of the day for yourself for the national holiday?
Been grinding away, cleaning and stuff so far today, trying to get some chores done. But I think I'm going to treat myself to a couple drinks down at the breweries after we get off here and just take it easy and chill out.
All right, man. Well, I'll let you get to it. I look forward to Saturday night at the Palace. Be watching the juniors come down the stretch as well, and continued success there sniping up front, man. Looks good on you. Say hi to Patty for me, and we'll talk soon, I'm sure.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
All right, thanks for coming on. There he is. There you go. Jalen Chaster, busy man this summer, Lucas. It takes a commitment, not only like if you're playing senior A lacrosse, you're talking minimum 3-4 nights a week to, practice games. And then you add on the fact you're coaching a junior A team as well. You can probably double that up as well. So it helps that he's doing it in the same city. Like he's not coaching in New West and playing in Coquitlam because they usually practice on back-to-back, same night, but back-to-back time. So essentially he's just spending more time at the Palace, but still, that's a big, long summer there to coach and play at two really high levels on two really good teams.
Oh, it is 100%, but it's very beneficial because when a player is able to have that coaching background in that aspect as well, that only makes that player that much better. And Jalen said it perfectly. When he's coaching, he's seeing things offensively on the bench that he wouldn't see on the floor, which is then helping him playing. He's a big part of the reason why the Adanacs just defeated the Bellies in the WLA. Yeah. And now we'll see what they can do down the stretch.
The other thing it does, and like he'll know this, is it's helping him play doing his coaching and vice versa offensively. But when you're coaching offense and you play as a defender, it helps you understand defense just as much as it does the offense as well. So that's why you see the best coaches are able to, be a defensive guy in their entire playing career and then be able to go coach the other end of the bench or vice versa or whatever the case may be. So it all helps, man. It all helps. And I think a couple of good ones there in Ticehurst and Chaster alongside Coyle, who look to make their way back to St. Catharines in the Minto Cup once again. All right. Period 2 is now over. Period 3 is next. Lax Class Lock of the Week right here on Lacrosse Culture Daily Podcast Network.
Associated Labels and Packaging, a fun family company that offers premium quality labels and packaging with unparalleled service. With 40 years of experience, an extensive product catalog, and an ever-growing fleet of equipment, Associated Labels and Packaging is the perfect fit to take your labels and packaging to the next level.
This is John Donville, and you're listening to Lax Class.
Welcome back. Period 3. No more breaks here on the big show. 3:45 coming down the stretch here. Period 3 brought to you by Associated Labels and Packaging. AssociatedLP.com is where you want to go if you want to take your label or your package to the next level. Unparalleled service, over 45 years of experience in the industry. The product catalog is extensive. The fleet of equipment is ever growing, and they're the perfect fit. So if you got a label, need a package, Associated Labels and Packaging is where you want to go. You also want to go to wherever you're listening to this podcast, whether it be Apple, Spotify, Google. Smash down the 5-star review, jot down a few words there, ask us a question if you got one. Be interactive here on the podcast. Follow us on social media, Lacrosse Classified on Insta, Lax Class Podcast on the X, Blue Sky email. You can find our social accounts on there as well. So like, follow, subscribe, share. You know the drill. Please do it. We thank you so much. Don't forget to give our sponsors a follow and a like as well. We would greatly appreciate that. Speaking of sponsors, Cool Bet is one of our sponsors, and they sponsor the Lax Class Lock of the Week.
Lock of the week.
Hey, let's lock and load it!
I am going to be a very rich dude.
Ooh, it's a big lock, all right.
Well, we had to cut the money drop off the end of the soundbite there this week, Lucas. The streak is over, but we shall try anew. And like I said, we're recording here on Canada Day. I submitted this thing to our friend Patrice Gregoire last night, but I feel like Patty's probably having himself a day wherever he may be on Canada Day. I don't think he's checking the phone, so I don't think the exclusive parlay is up quite yet, but the time you listen to this podcast, it surely will be. I just don't know what the odds are going to be, but I think they'll be pretty good. I was way off there a couple of weeks, by the way. I thought it was going to be way higher than it was. It was not. But with that being said, like I said, we're going right back to Bellies and Adanacs Saturday night from the Palace. Frisbee toss will make its return as well. Can't wait for that.
Stop winning it. God damn it.
Oh, we were cashing.
You're so good at it. Come on. You got to let others win.
No. We cashed in some gift cards over the weekend. Got a little James Well, some fish and chips. It was good. Okay. Bellies and Adanacs, second time this season. Remember, Coquitlam just won the first one. Bellies can't afford to let the season series slip away here in game number 2. So let's go Bellies money line here. I think New West wins this game. Just I don't even know what the odds are going to be for this, but I think New West wins. I think it goes under. I think it probably goes under 17.5 with Chiliano and Del Bianco. 8-7 the final in the first one. I think we're going to see a similar score line to that. But I'm going to bump this up just to play it safe here because we're going a little bigger on the parlay this week. Under 19.5. Lock it in. That's happened. Then, hopefully, this comes to fruition. James Ray, 3 points or more for Coquitlam. Mitch Jones, 4 points or more for New West. Bellies to win, under 19.5. Ray with 3+, Jones with 4+. And I'm almost reluctant or a little bit gun-shy to guess what the odds will be for this, but that's a 4-legger right there. Plus 500. No, probably not that much. Probably like plus 425. Something like that. We'll hope. Anyways.
We'll also hope that Mitch Jones is in the lineup.
Yeah, I mean, the one game I pick him, that's the one game he missed. He was right back in the lineup 2 nights later, so I don't know what the hell was going on there, but I think this is a monster game here. Mitch Jones isn't missing this game.
No, I don't think
usually
he
does
either.
Take a little loading break from time to time. The old Kawhi Leonard, and then next thing you know, he's up golfing at Twin Lakes during the season. But I don't foresee that happening this year, and especially not for this big game here on Saturday night. I think there's like an all-in commitment this year in New Westminster. No weekends off, and plus you just had one, right? Like you just had a long. So Jones should be in there. Jones should be in.
Hopefully this game also feels like a playoff atmosphere, as it should be.
Yeah, I mean, they still got Vic one more time, do the Bellies. They got Coquitlam 2 more times. I think Coquitlam has Vic one more time. So all these teams still play each other at least once, couple times coming up. So like I said, back in the first, it's going to be fun to watch come down the stretch. No question about it.
You think it's going to be an 8-7 final again? 9-8, something like that?
Yeah, under 20. Under 20 for sure. Like neither team's getting to double digits. Put that way.
Del Bianco and Chiliano on a Saturday night. Is there anything more you could ask for?
A couple of Coquitlam kids just dueling it out at their old stomping grounds. Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
I can't wait for this one. Jake, have a fun time calling it, and
I will.
And yeah, hope you improve on that Frisbee toss and win a couple more gift cards.
That's all I got left. I can't play actual disc golf anymore, so that's all I got left. Is just the Frisbee toss.
From the press box on a concrete floor. Never mind the mountains. Never mind the nice weather or the green fairways. Nope, you get a press box and a concrete floor. Have at it.
Shitty old Frisbee to chuck around. All right, let's wrap it up right there. Big thanks to Jalen Chaster for coming on the show. Big thanks to our sponsors, of course, Associated Labels and Packaging, Rycor Construction, Edge Dynamics, Goalie Factory, and Coolbet Canada, and the Western Lacrosse Association. Thank you to you, the classmate, for checking out Lax Class each and every week. We'll be back next week. Episode 346 is next, and we look forward to bringing that one to you a week from now. For Lucas Archer, I've been Jake Elliott, and for the fastest game on 2 feet, for the creator, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay classified.